The other day I was at the gas station putting gas in my car, and I don't know if you've noticed, but there's now gas pump TV. You know, like every pump's got a screen on top, and on there's like commercials and ESPN updates and little news updates. And so I was watching the gas pump TV on top of the pump, and this commercial came on. There's a woman walking through a prison, but the people in the cells are not what you'd expect. The first cell had a guy in a fishing boat fishing. Second cell, there was a bride actually in her bride's dress. The third cell, there was a lady holding her dog under her arm. Then they arrive at an open cell. The woman stops, the guard hands her a contract. She signs it, steps inside of her cell. He pulls the door and locks her in. And clearly we get the picture that now she's locked in to a 2-year cell phone contract. Now I get the actual point of the commercial. Cell phone contracts are bad. Use Boost Mobile. But the images are stuck in my mind because I think they paint a picture of a deeper reality, one that we don't often think about. Most people live their lives locked in like prisoners. Not inside literal prisons or locked in by bad cell phone contracts. Most of us live our lives locked in by our circumstances. We're imprisoned by the broken, difficult, and painful realities of our lives. Maybe more accurately, we're prisoners of sin. Over the last few weeks, I've heard this sad story told by so many people. I met this girl, Lindsay, at a camp in California. She spent her whole high school life locked in by a choice her dad made to leave his family and pursue a homosexual lifestyle. The prison this dad created for his daughter has left her trying anything to get out. Her efforts have led her down some really dark paths. Those have only kept her in prison longer. Another girl, Katrina, lost her mom to a drug overdose. Now she's confined by the belief that there's no way that God could love her. But those kids aren't the only prisoners. We're prisoners too, of self-hatred, jealousy, addiction, depression, anger. And most of our prisons aren't even visible to others. But they're still real and painful, and they hurt. And it seems like they totally separate us from our Father. Here's the harsh truth I've seen at work over and over again. The enemy specializes in putting us in prison. He invents ways to take away our freedom. We were created to enjoy a loving relationship with our God and to bring glory to Him through our lives. But the enemy convinces us to turn our backs on that true purpose. He helps us to choose lesser stuff to live for, counterfeit stuff. You feel it, and I feel it, and the enemy knows it. He knows that deep down inside, we want more. He knows we want to return to the true calling that we were made for. So he dangles carrots in front of our faces. We long for significance. So he convinces us to go after trophies and honors and stuff that make us look significant. And pretty soon, we need bigger and better and more. We're never satisfied. And now he's got us. We long for true love. So he entices us to seek it in all the wrong places from people who will let us down. We get trapped in an endless cycle, trying to replace God's perfect love with imperfect relationships. We can't get rid of that nagging feeling that something just isn't right. And so he convinces us to try to numb that feeling. Some of those things are obvious, like drinking, drugs, sexually acting out. But even the not so obvious things, like shopping, video games, self-cutting, anger, and so many other things that try to help us fill the void, but ultimately hold us hostage. It all seems pretty hopeless, doesn't it? We're trapped and in prison and stuck in this downward spiral. We've turned our backs on God. And deep down, I think most of us feel like we deserve the sentence we've been given. This is an age-old story, beginning with Adam and Eve and continuing on through every person since. People sin, we fail, we lose our purpose, and the enemy gets his way. And it puts God in a seemingly impossible spot because God is holy and just, and he hates sin. In order to be true to his just and righteous character, he must punish sin, and the punishment is death. But God is also merciful and gracious, has a deep, passionate love for his children. So when the enemy convinces us to turn our backs on God, when the enemy puts us in a prison of sin, it's almost like he's putting God in prison too. He's locking God into this paradox of justice and mercy, of love for his children, but hatred of their sin. But that's the genius of God's plan in Jesus Christ. This is us, stained with sin, imprisoned by our brokenness and our sin, held hostage by the enemy. This is God's anger against our sin, his just and righteous anger against our sin. Let me show you what would happen if God were to do what he wants to do to destroy the sin. He was pierced through for your transgressions. He was bruised for your iniquities. And the punishment that should have fallen on you fell on him. And by his stripes, you are healed. And that's the great mystery of the Christian faith. The only way back to the transcendent purpose that we were made for, to enjoy God in a loving relationship and to give him glory with our lives, is to surrender, to give up, and just receive the amazing gift that we are offered in Christ. When we do, the enemy is disarmed, his power is broken, and our chains fall off. If you feel stuck in a prison right now, any kind of prison, that's all you need to do. Accept this gift from God, give him your brokenness and your sin, and experience the only true freedom, life in Christ.